Hello, welcome. It's another one of these videos. I actually made a weekly outlook video some time ago, a few days ago of course, and I was showing what I expected to see and how I expect everything to pan out. But after watching the video over and over again and going through it yesterday, I realized I wasn't too proud of this. I wasn't proud of the quality. I was not proud of the analysis itself because I needed more data to give something more accurate. So here we are now on Tuesday at 1 p.m. trying to give a more clearer view or analysis. And this one probably going to be a bit weird for most of you guys, but I am starting on Russell with the 2-hour chart. The reason I'm watching this from the 2-hour perspective is because, well, I'm bullish on the indices, including Russell. If we go out on the weekly time frame, we can see this a little bit more clearer. Here on the weekly, we have a weekly imbalance that we have respected. We've created a swing low, and we'd expect an expansion to external range liquidity. Keep in mind that this weekly candle, we are only on the second day today. That's the thing to keep in mind. So we have 3 more days for the weekly profile to expand. And when we go down now to the hourly time frame, we can see a few things. Firstly, we are clearly below the weekly open. The weekly open is all the way up there. Let me enable this via the indicate. Actually, we could use the new week opening gaps, and we edit that to give us the NWOG. And that's how we get to see the new week opening gaps right there. So yeah, right now we can see that we're well below the weekly open all the way up there. We have the relative equal highs residing up there. We have of course our drawn liquidity up there. So what we've done so far is retrace down into discount. Why am I looking at this first specific gap here? Well, because it's the one that is below the monthly opening. So this blue line, the EQ line that you see over here, is where we opened up in the month of October. So I'm doing 2 things at the same time by looking at the 2-hour chart. I'm looking at the monthly profile where we've opened up in the month, we've accumulated, we manipulated here on the second week on the 10th of October, and now we're expecting a distribution and expansion in the 3rd, 4th, and of course the last week of October. So looking at this profile and remembering how volatile the small cap market like Russell 2000 can be, I will not be surprised if we get an expansion day the very next day that looks something like this. This is very possible with Russell. So I actually wanted to take it today, but I was away from my chart and I've missed my entry. So I'm going to look for an entry tomorrow, and we look for an expansion higher. So I'm very bullish on this, and I would say look for lower time frame entries, and of course always target your low hanging fruits like the gap that we have up there. If you bought it already, this could be a good place to take profit. And then of course going through that, we have the new week opening gap, we have the 50% of the entire weekly range. So if you have the range that looks something like that from the high on Friday to here, break this in quarters, and we can see the 50% is there. So you start by targeting this gap, maybe then the 50%, then of course the 25% of the range, which is where the new week opening gap is. Then going through that, we have the highs up there. So yeah, I'm bullish on Russell. Second thing to note is on the daily, we actually traded into the daily imbalance as well. That's where the 2-hour gap was or is. So yeah, I'm expecting an expansion away from here. I know it's a very deep discount, firstly. Secondly, I know that we're likely going to create a daily CB now. So we have a new challenge on its way up. Price is likely going to bounce and reject away from this CB, but we could also completely disrespect it and push up if we really are bullish. So that's why I would say possibly target the gap first, this high. I know I saw it on the 2-hour chart, but it's the same on the hourly time frame. Possibly target this gap first, because this gap is likely going to be where the daily CB would form. right? Like it's actually a little higher, but we could form in there. So yeah, look for short time frame trades to that high. Then of course, if we're really bullish and expanding, then we could find these highs very soon. That's my view on Russell. On the rest of the indices, starting off with NASDAQ, I'm also bullish, but we are in a weird position with NASDAQ. I'm not even gonna lie. We are creating an engineering liquidity on the highs and the lows. If we look at the same 2-hour time frame, we have sell-side liquidity there with relative equal lows. On ES, they are actually perfectly equal lows right there at that same sell-side liquidity level. So we have sell-side liquidity there. We can see prices bouncing off of the NWOG, the new week opening gap. We can see that we've been bearish, but we've been struggling because we tapped there yesterday, displaced lower, took liquidity, internal liquidity, then aggressively rejected higher, making me think, well, maybe we want to clear these equal highs here first before coming back down for the equal lows. Then we can look for a continuation higher from after taking these equal lows, because these equal lows are where the daily gap is. As you can see, we have a small inefficiency right there. So yeah, I'm very short term, but I'm bullish long term. I'm looking for a buy after taking the equal lows and tapping into this inefficiency on ES, which is the same on NASDAQ, but NASDAQ does not have a daily imbalance. We just have liquidity. So I'd like to see liquidity get swept, gets taken, get out of this range, because we've just been, honestly, looking at this. This is the definition of a consolidation. So we've just been moving up and down. You could find positions intra-session. You could find positions, even looking at the micro sessions or something. You could target for something very short and not rely on full moves yet, at least for now, until Thursday, when we have the red folder news event on with US dollar. So yeah, I'm looking for us to break out of this range, to be honest. But of course, because I'm bullish ultimately, because when you look at NASDAQ from, let's say, the weekly time frame, we can see that we are bullish, right? We can see the same sort of situation going on with Russell, where we have an imbalance on the weekly, created a swing low, and we expect the next few candles to be expansion candles to the upside. So yeah, this idea, still sticking by it, but the price action right now, I don't like what this looks like. Compare this piece of price action the past few weeks with something like here, where price was just expanding lower and lower, or even something like here, where even though we went up then went down, we had some sort of direction at least for price to follow. So yeah, I would just like us to break out of this range, take out a previous weekly low, for example, or a previous daily low, because we have not taken out any previous daily low. Look at this since we opened up this week. Actually, from last week Wednesday, we created a swing low. We did not take out this low, we did not take out this low, we did not take out this low. So yes, I would like to see some sort of liquidity get swept before I start buying again. Even though price can just continue higher from here, that's my preference, because we have SMTs at the highs and the lows. Right now, for me to be bullish on this without any low getting taken, without all these equal lows getting taken, I would like to see a very clear expansion. Like for example, now that we've closed above the new week opening gap, maybe a closure above this level, the high of the week, would be convincing enough. I'm not sure actually. To be honest, I still want to see the lows taken before looking for buys. But if we get a sweep and a shifter structure above this high, a clear market structure here with an SMT of some sort, then we can look for buys on NASDAQ. But for now, I think the best high probability day that you would find on NASDAQ and S&P 500 would be on Thursday. That's just my opinion, and that's based on the economic calendar. So yeah, I would say wait for Thursday if you want something cleaner on S&P and NASDAQ. So that's all I have for now. I don't have anything else on the currencies, to be honest. Dollar is still on a tier, pushing higher as always. No stopping the dollar, I guess. That's dollar just has that strength to keep going. We are barely trading into daily inefficiencies. For example, here on Monday was the day we decided to trade into this inefficiency, and look how aggressively we reject away from it. So yeah, I think dollar's strength is all based on the talks of elections. It's all based on the upcoming election coming up on the 5th, I believe. The US elections are on the 5th of November. So for now, I would expect indices to keep grinding higher, and I expect the dollar to keep pushing higher. We have this buy side liquidity next, so we could watch to see if the dollar is able to get to that high. But before there, I'm looking at the high of this order block, the high of this bullish candle as a drawn liquidity. I'm not going to try and sell this until we get a very clear structure to the downside, a very clear shift to the downside. Then I can look for continuation lower. Otherwise, just keep buying until your buys start failing. I would look to see if tomorrow can give us some sort of imbalance, but I see that the possible imbalance here is actually going to be very small. It's going to be minuscule. So yeah, we may not get that, but if we do get an imbalance, if we do get a tap of this order block, basically this down close candle, then we could use it as some sort of extra support for higher prices. But the daily candle would have to, hold. So yeah, that's my view on the dollar. Of course, the opposite applies to GU, EU, NU, and AU. And yeah, we could look to target this discounted BC, as I highlighted there. Today, I was watching to see if we'll reject away from this order block. And we did this daily order block. Let's increase the thickness of that. And you can see. So yeah, I was looking to see if that was going to continue lower, but now we're rejecting higher again. So yeah, who knows, honestly. Who knows? We might just push up, take the high, this high one more time, then come back down, or we could completely shift to the upside and continue, and now finally start taking all these unswept liquidity levels. But yeah, as I said, don't force it. Wait for your pullbacks, wait for your lower time frame shift, confirmation entries, then you can continue with the trend, which is to continue selling. NZD USD doing the same, but as you can see, it's moving more sideways now, because yeah, again, the markets are not as clean as they seem. Whenever the majors are this choppy, that's usually when we tend to see very cleaner cross pairs. So if you look at things like GBP CAD, GBP AUD, GBP NZD, we get to see cleaner structure. We get to see cleaner structure on these pairs. So yeah, I would say look for, I'm not going to cover any cross pairs in this video unless I have a special request. If somebody wants me to look at a specific currency pair, then I would make a separate video on it. But yeah, for now, AU, NU, GU, EU, all sideways. Index futures, wait for Thursday Russell, possibly going to pan out tomorrow, but again, high risk, high reward with Russell, so be careful when trading this. And yeah, stay safe. Cheers.